What are my thoughts on terrorism and countries such as Russia and America that are supporting them sometimes and are against them sooner or later? Why are we still in the 21st century having to prepare for war all the time? See, one has to prepare for war all the time. If you aren't ready for war, you will never have peace. It's only by preparing for all eventualities that you can have lasting peace. That is the lesson of history. That's what history has told us. It's what history teaches us. If you examine the history of the past 2000 or 5000 years, if you are always in a state of readiness for war, that is when you will have lasting peace. Now, about terrorism, you are right. America and even the Russians have had a very ambiguous stand against terrorism. So when in 1989 onwards, this terrorism, Pakistani terrorism, started in Kashmir, the Americans kept dismissing it as a law and order problem. It's an internal matter of law and order. You guys are not taking care of your law and order. They refused to countenance the truth, which was that Pakistan was infiltrating terrorists in large numbers into Kashmir. So they did not support, they were very much basically tolerant of terrorism then. When 9/11 happened, their stance changed 180 degrees and they launched this global war on terror, and yet they did not ever sanction Pakistan for its continuing terrorism into India. So it's always been a dual approach, and the same goes with Russia. They have also sometimes supported some forms of terrorism, what you could call terrorism, sometimes they have not. The Americans are involved in the Middle East for ages, and they do support certain outfits and certain factions that can be considered to be terrorist outfits. So it's a very ambiguous stand, and to understand why it is so, we have to understand what is the national interest of the United States and what is the long-term objective. That's all. They are simply pursuing their own national interest. They are doing what is best for them. They are trying to achieve their objectives. So sometimes they will support one group, other times they will destroy that group. They propped up Saddam Hussein for a very long time, and eventually they destroyed Saddam Hussein, right? So it's not an ambiguous policy. They are simply looking out for their best interests, and interests change, situations change, and when circumstances change, you take different actions. So that's what happens. There is no such thing as ethics and morality in geopolitics. The only thing that matters is the hard national interest and what you intend to do in the long run. And you will do that. You want to achieve that by any means possible. And that's what we see. So that is why there is this ambiguous stand on terrorism. Sometimes you support it, sometimes you fight it. So it's all about pursuing your long-term objectives and strengthening your national interest.